Good morning, everybody. How you doing this morning? So, man, it's December 18th. Can you believe that? So, a week from today is actually Christmas. And, you know, during this time of year, we get a little bit stressed and have anxiety, but, you know, just relax. It'll come and go, and make the best out of your situation with what you have. That's a really good thing to do. Hopefully everybody's having a good day and taking it easy. And hopefully this weekend it doesn't get, you know, too crazy with last minute shopping and some things like that. So I'm just going to move a couple of things around here today. There we go. Right where it should belong there. So we're actually on week number 3 of boundaries. And what a boundary is a personal policy that we make in our life. And it's policies that keep us rooted in our goals, rooted into our life. Good morning, Brian. It's great to see you here. And with the new year coming up, we had a really good live last Tuesday, which was part of the week 3. And with the new year coming up, there's nothing wrong. Instead of, you know, people make a lot of New Year's resolutions, but you can also have boundaries for the new year, finding out what makes us tired. And later on today, we're going to talk about a type of being tired that, and you'll hear me repeat this a couple of times, but you're going to hear about a kind of tired that sleep does not fix. That's a type of tired that comes from being overwhelmed. That's a type of tired that comes from being too much of a people pleaser. And it's a type of tired where we wake up with a little bit sense of doom because we might have said yes to some things, or we feel like we have to do something to be accepted or liked. And that comes from this big elephant in the room when we were kids, of how we act, what we do for people, what your role is to survive, what your role is to be liked. And if you don't do that, then you're almost conditioned to, like, you may not be accepted or you may not be liked. And when a boundary comes in and interrupts that, we feel guilt. And sometimes the guilt can get intertwined with some grief to where we're actually grieving because we make a boundary in a place where it had to do with somebody that we cared about. And when you make tough decisions like that, you start to have grief and guilt, wondering if you did the right thing or not. And to know if you did the right thing or not, simply ask yourself the questions. Am I relieved because I had that conversation? And do I feel better because I made this type of boundary? Those are questions that you ask yourself. And if so, good morning, Alicia. Good morning, Farm Girl. We're talking about, obviously, our 3rd week into Good Morning Prowl, into boundaries. And how boundaries, when you start setting them and doing them, sometimes make you feel a guilt, but also a type of grief. And the grief comes from the missing of a one-time connection that you had with somebody. As humans, we're wired for bonding. We're wired for connection with people. We like to interweave our lives with people that we love, that make us feel good. But sometimes boundaries have to come into play. And when we make them, sometimes with somebody we love, we have this big piece of guilt that comes in. It just drops, boom, right in the middle of your heart. Now look what you did. Look what you've done. This is how things used to be. And this is this guilt and this weight that comes in us, and it makes us second guess. And it makes it second guess whether we made the right decision or not. And we ask ourselves questions, and we question, was this right? And you can answer that, was I clear? Do I feel better? Growth is painful. When you are growing as an individual and you are making boundaries and you're creating a space for really good connections in your life with the boundaries, that makes a difference in your life as you go on. So we got the new year coming up, and there could be some boundaries that we would like to set up. And you're going to consider identifying what your needs are in your life as we get older. Let me tell you a story. I talked a little bit last Tuesday about around in 2019 when probably the catalyst was my mom dying in the month of January of 2019. And I was tired, but I was tired not from not enough sleep, because I had a type of tired that sleep doesn't fix, only boundaries could. Let me explain that to you. I woke up sometimes with doom because I was such a people pleaser that I had favors that I said yes to do. So I was locked in to the way I was emotionally developed as a child. I was locked into being nice and to being kind, sucking all of my own energy out because I was afraid to say no, because if I said no, I wouldn't be accepted anymore. I would feel guilty. It would be hard to. What about all of the big volunteering that I used to do at a club I used to belong to? I quit doing that. I quit belonging in certain circles. Nothing bad with these people. I just made boundaries for myself and for my life. And I found out that feeling of being tired and the doom of waking up slowly went away. And I grieved and I felt guilty. And I also missed the connection that made me volunteer there in the first place. But during that grieving and during that guilt, I actually grew. I started to blossom a little bit and become my authentic self. And this is what I want you to think about today. I want you to think about coming in the new year, what boundaries can you set? As we get older, our boundaries can change because our tolerance changes. You know, some of the elders that I knew growing up, I'm too tired to deal with that. I'm too tired of that. We get emotionally broke down and tired when we are the ones that have to put the effort in to make a connection with people, when that should just come naturally. So we want to, good morning, Sherry, we want to protect our space, protect our boundaries, protect our thoughts, and today start building our future. So good to see you, Sherry. Hopefully it's warm up there in New York. So prioritize yourself and define your boundaries clearly, and then articulate what is acceptable and what is not in your life. That'll take away some of your waking doom. When you're tired and you don't know, after a bunch of sleep, you're getting rest, this is your body telling you that boundaries might need to be in place. When you are having anxiety about something that you said yes to, when you're in a relationship, going to the same job sometimes, there's a lot of things, boundaries might need to be put into place there. Not always saying yes. And I'm not saying don't be kind. Kindness only belongs to you, right? So when you're making boundaries, you're choosing yourself over being emotionally broke down and tired. Here's the truth about it. Cutting somebody off, especially when you love them and you're putting a boundary in there, is doing yourself a favor. That's choosing you over somebody who's used to you putting in the effort, that expects you to be there like that. that you put all of the work into a relationship, a volunteer situation, something at church, the first one to open every morning, who has the key, the first person to get there every day. And you know, that would be nice to do. And the next thing you know, you're the only one doing it every day. That's where you can't feel guilt about walking away, because sometimes we overextend ourselves. While you were there, can you do this? Since you're there anyway, can I have this? So you realize one big thing I think in life is that love without boundaries probably really isn't love. Love with boundaries is love, and that's an acceptance. That's realizing that I respect your time, I respect your efforts, I respect your opinion. And it doesn't matter if your opinion is different than mine. And we live in a world today, if there's a little bit of difference in religion, a little bit of difference sometimes in race, a little bit of difference in culture, people get scared of that. And then sometimes we get stereotyped through social media and other things to not accept that, when in fact these are people too. And it's not your job to carry discomfort of other people's when they give you dread. I'm not going to be able to get this done unless I get your help. You have to be aligned with your essentials in life. And one of your greatest essentials in your life today and tomorrow in the future is choosing your kindness. Good morning, Kelly. I hope you had a great night. Is choosing your kindness. And your kindness is up to you of where to use it. It should mostly be to yourself. Let me give you an analogy. Your favorite type of candy shows up into the house, and there's only 6 pieces of this candy, and it's a rarity candy, and you only get it once in a while. Do you give everybody every single piece of it? Or do you just put it up in a place to yourself? That's not being selfish. That's actually saving yourself a treat of kindness, something that you could do yourself. Because if you gave 5 of them away, you only got to enjoy it once. That is how kindness is giving your whole steak to somebody that's your favorite. Honestly, I would give it away. Sometimes we will, depending on what it is. But I save certain types of things, and it's an analogy. Anyway, everybody is different on how we go about different things. So the truth is, cutting somebody off, especially if you love them, and that makes you feel guilt. If you were clear and you were conscious about it, and it gives you a type of relief, and it takes away tiredness, almost puts you in a whole different realm of happiness, that is you growing. You have to feel grief to grow. You have to sometimes experience guilt to grow. And we are wired, like I said, for connection as humans, to bond. We want somebody to bond with, but we want that bond to be a medium where we meet and agree on this is how things will be. So to keep yourself compassionate and to keep yourself grounded, we think about our essentials in life and boundaries. That's where we make our decisions with considering, will this cause stress in my life, right? So we have stress-proof decisions. We're considering our finances, our time, our work, our media, our meals. Consider everything when you are in a relationship, what you protect, where your kindness is going to go. It's going to be very important. Thoughts and words are weapons, and they're also a catalyst. Your thoughts and words. Your thoughts and words about what you're saying and what you're thinking today is the start of your future. Being kind, having gratitude becomes habitual. You can be grateful, feel guilty, and have grief all at the same time. When you feel grief sometimes, think about within this grief, in the future, after you grieve, what light will come out of it. Remember the word catharsis. Catharsis is eventually there's a silver lining in everything that grieves us. there is a better part of anything that happens. Those are Macho Man's glasses from WWF. Thanks, Brian. Checking in with yourself. Are these mine? Can I afford this? And when I say can I afford this, I mean emotionally. Can you afford emotionally to stay without boundaries in your life, emotionally? At the beginning of this morning's live, right, the first thing I said, there's a type of tiredness that comes about us, and it can't be fixed by sleep. This is a sign from your body when you feel overwhelmed and tired that you need to emotionally reset. Check in with yourself and put boundaries where they belong to relieve that tiredness. You're either living in control of your life or life is living you. And both are hard. When life is living you, you're just going to keep old patterns and recognize that, well, this is me. This is what happens. This is who I am. You want to live purposely. This is who I want to be. I am this. I journal this. This is what I am becoming. This is what I want to become in my life. I want to be kind to others, but I have a line drawn of how kind I can be. Do I belong here? Staying in alignment where you belong. Is this truly you? What you're doing, your behaviors, what you're thinking. Is that where you belong? Or is life living you again? Are you slowing down the boat to deal with emotions and or gossip or things like that? Those are things to consider if you need boundaries. Boundaries come from you. Boundaries are your policy to live your life fully. And it's up to you to be kind enough to yourself to allow the boundaries, knowing it's going to cause grief, knowing it's going to cause guilt, knowing that it'll cause confrontation. And if you don't do it, there'll eventually be a breaking point. A lot of times where we've had to put boundaries in where we once had a super connection with somebody. And then over time, because we're nice, we have the not the upper hand in the relationship. We're actually doing things to make their lives easier. Bleeding, and we're doing it because that's what we were taught somehow through our life. And you know, when you do that, and it could be in a marriage, it could be in a relationship, it could be at your job or somewhere, that actually tends to give future results that are very similar to trauma. Keeping yourself emotionally bound and tied up to having to please somebody. And some of us do this with a lot of people in our lives. There could be a whole host of people that we take care of because they expect it. Sometimes you need to disconnect. You have to disconnect. That's correct, Alicia. Relationships, they definitely evolve, but we can't let them transform into taking away harmony out of our lives. A relationship should have harmony, it should have rhythm, and it should have equilibrium where we're happy with it. But we start out with boundaries and consider boundaries, then it's easier to stay on the right path. When we're living our lives, think about what you dread, where you feel that you have resentment. These are places where we need boundaries in our life. Does the situation align with my priorities? And right here, I got the guilt trap. Now look what you did. That just, boom, drops it right in on you. Here comes the emotional guilt trip. Here comes the you guessing, man, did I do this right? Should I not have said something? Should I do something? That's the people pleaser in you. But you know, if you've had that feeling before, anybody who's felt guilty, did I do the right thing? You know what that means? That means that you have a lot of love to give. That's where that guilt comes from. It's love that you have, and you don't know what else to do with it because you never gave it to yourself. When you turn that kindness inward instead of outward, accepting you, then it starts to change. It starts to change a mental habit that you had throughout life of pleasing people. And you can start your day with journaling. The other day I said to block out time for yourself. Do yourself a favor. What can I do this weekend that I like? Where can I go for a while to take it easy? This is what changes mental mindset, where you're habitually doing the same thing all of the time. And when you fall back into it a little bit, you keep going anyway. Because little steps, it doesn't change overnight. Once water boils, it stays boiling. But when you remove the heat, it stops. It's still hot, but it's not boiling. What you need to do is consider yourself to be a burner. Turn it on purposely. Live your life on purpose. Align yourself with your life and where and what you want to be. Plan your future. Otherwise, life will live you and you will not be able to live life. You're living life when you have plans, when you have boundaries, when you identify what makes you tired that sleep does not fix. These are things that we do as we grow. When the guilt and the grief comes in, that means you are growing. Over time, that goes away and you will be happy. Good morning, Norma. I hope you're having a good day. We're glad that you are here. So when you get the guilt and you're thinking about that, and I said that that is a sign that you have a lot of love to give, you turn that love to yourself. And just ask yourself the one question: was I clear and was I concise about what my boundary was, of what I am fed up with, what I've had enough with up to here? That's just blowing your lid. Us people pleasers eventually get to a point where, I don't want to say our lids blow, do we blow up? I don't know, but we get fed up. We get fed up with being tired. We get fed up. Good morning, Apollo. We are glad that you are here. Feeling guilty for walking away when you're really grieving is the version of the relationship you had hoped would always stay there. Because when we're walking away from relationships, at one time it had a true connection, and we overlook little signs, little red flags, little things where that we just blow off. That's fine. My brothers did that. My mom and dad do that. This, that. But can you live with certain things in your life every day anymore? We change as we get older. As we get older, our needs change. We don't need what we think we need, and we know more than we did before. And therefore, since we know more, we realize some of the things we don't need, and that comes to certain types of triggers through other people that trigger our emotions. And we were talking last week that a trigger is something that triggers our emotions, but really there is no trigger there. That's something, a reaction that we're having, where we allow our emotions in front of our reasoning. So that the trigger really has nothing to do with it. You can think about things that used to upset you that don't anymore. Though, because they're not triggers, because you finally understood it. Maybe in traffic. I still sometimes get triggered in traffic. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. When I'm in a better mood, I let people in. I live in a real congested area. Identifying your needs. What is essential in your life? Identifying your needs. What is essential in your life? Identify them. Write that down. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate you. Let's have a quick thought about times in our life where we feel overwhelmed and where that comes from. Good morning, Houston, Texas. Glad that you're in here. My biggest key was acceptance. That's really nice. And that is an important thing. And being accepted sometimes is why we're people pleasing. And this comes from way early, rooted in our development. And while we're adults, some of it becomes a habit. We're mentally saying, yes, we are being kind. Be kind to your neighbor. Do unto others as you want to do to yourself. And what that's doing is it's draining our energy. When we can be kind and giving at the same time, there is such a thing. And that's done through boundaries. Sometimes boundaries have a bad rap. They have a bad rap in the sense that people think that they're mean, that you're putting up these walls and like a prison and keeping yourself in there. Nobody can come in, nobody can approach. That's not it at all. Boundaries are rules and policies that we have that we express clearly to other people. One of my favorite analogies is we all have gone to somebody's house where you have to take your shoes off before you go in, right? And we do, and the next time we go there, we remember that. That's a kind boundary, clear and precise. I just don't want shoes on my carpet. I don't want to come in muddy. As kids, we couldn't run through the house muddy. There's a lot of things that we couldn't do. We couldn't talk out of line, talk to strangers, a lot of things that we learned. But one of the things that we learned was maybe to be overkind too much. If you want them to like you, you have to show up to the party. If you want to be part of this group, you have to join the PTA. You have to do the bake sale. You have to do this and that. And along with that comes your boundaries and your rules. Apollo, I can relate to you. Thanks for sharing that. And I've become probably more of a loner. And I had low self-esteem. And it's something, I'm a recovering low self-esteem addict. Big time. And I love it when somebody comes into this room and expresses themselves in an honest way. My low self-esteem came from when I was younger. I had a lot of bad talk. I'll wring your neck. And, a lot of us 70 kids had our asses kicked just for breathing. And it gave me low self-esteem. It really did. And it's during our development is where that happened. I mean, I was like 50 years old before I realized I even had any worth or value. And let me tell you, I've had some businesses in my life, and I feel that I've been a very successful professional, but I've been a very poor person at treating myself. I've spent a lot of what I've earned people pleasing, from boat rides to giving, cookouts, everything you can imagine, man. I give away. I can easy make and easy spend, and I did that to be liked. But then it gave me a type of tired that my sleep couldn't fix. Moments of dread, wishing I wouldn't have invited this over. And especially with one time, Norma, who's in here, my wife, told me one time that we had a certain friend that only calls us in the beginning of the boating season. Wanting to come out, having boundaries, spending time that belongs to you, but we bring other people in there because we want them to like us. And when we set those boundaries, sometimes, if you can relate to this, we get that big, now look what you did, sense of guilt. Why don't you do that anymore? And I was talking earlier about when my mom died in 2019, she was the mother of 11 kids. I'm number 9 of 11 kids, 8 boys, 3 girls. And shortly after she died, we had COVID, we had a couple things, and I changed. I stopped going into volunteering things. On top of some things closed down, if we remember. And when a lot of that went away, I just felt so much relief. A lot of people were isolated. I felt great. I loved my house. I didn't realize how nice my house was decorated. And it's not a big house. It's a nice, cozy little house. And it was perfect for me. Instead of going out, I like to stay in. And I used to think going out and making connections with people to fill my low self-esteem would help. But what really helped was being grateful for what I have earned for myself, and recognizing that kindness and the loneliness and the hurt, the pain isn't for nothing. Pressure makes diamonds. Oh my God, I like you. And there is something greater for you. And it's through those things that little by little, and it's not an overnight thing, little by little, that guilt, that pressure that you're talking about, it really does produce a diamond, because I'm way better than I used to be, but I'm not great. And it's one of the things that I deal with. And in my life, for some reason, whether through the universe, I've been assigned with, here's my birthing homework, right? I've been assigned with low self-esteem, low self-confidence, low self-worth, guilt, people-pleasing, and a need to want to be accepted. One of the things, most of my relationship with my dad was only to be punished. I have a son, I spend time with him and do things. I might not be the perfect parent, but I always had the need to be wanted. And when you're not getting that at home, it does give you some low self-esteem. But you know what? My dad's human too, and I can't blame him. Kids don't come with a workbook, how to raise them. We don't get a workbook in life. Some people can use the Bible, and that's fine. I'm a Christian. But at the exact same time, I'm also human, and I deal with emotions. I deal with the guilt, and I deal with pain. I found through some of the journaling that I do, and it's mainly gratitude journaling that I like to do the best, going through parts of my life, reflecting, not living in the past, but reflecting, but staying mindful in the current moment to live. The other day, my wife likes to send me these little things, and it said, she sent me one where Charlie Brown was sitting with Snoopy, and it said, in the winter we can't wait for summer, in the summer we can't wait for winter, on Monday we can't wait for Friday, why not just enjoy now? So not going really into it. Oh, that's so kind of you, sir. I appreciate you, Apollo, very much. And sometimes the universe will put us in places where we belong. So how do we do this? So to tell you a little bit about me, I'm not a therapy guy. I'm not a doctor. I basically journal, and I paid, since pre-COVID, more attention to my mental health and what I need and what I want to align my life with. Being in the present moment is the actual foundation to being grateful. You can't have peace without gratitude. You have to be kind to yourself first. All your validation needs to come from within, not from without. And that's a mistake I made. So let's say I became an adult at 18, and that's a mistake I made until I was about 47. And not allowing yourself to be your own bully, not being hard on you. So this is the third week of a 4-week series about boundaries and where boundaries belong in our life and how boundaries are kind, and boundaries are personal policies that we have of what we will do and what we won't do. And they're kind and they're nice, but they have to be precise. They have to be precise and shared with people you love. That allows people into your life under your rules, and you're under their rules, right? So I broke down a thing from a mixture of some reading that I do and a mixture of some books. So emotional and mental self-talk boundaries. So there's a boundary that we can use for our self-talk. And for all of us that have low self-esteem, that is self-talk, repetitive self-talk. When you go into a room and 99 people are smiling and happy, and only one of those 99 give you a sour face, and now it's wrecked you. See, I don't belong here because that one person doesn't like me. And there's an analogy that I use about bananas or apples. Some people don't like bananas or apples. Some people do, but they continue to grow them. They don't stop growing them and producing them because so many people don't like them. So not everybody is going to like us. We're not going to like everything, but that there doesn't matter because some people may not like us for whatever their personal projective reasons may be. But that's not what we worry about when we have boundaries. We protect ourselves mentally, and we do it with not allowing yourself to be your own bully, replacing your harsh self-criticism with things that you know are true about yourself. I make people laugh. I do things at work. You make a little list of where your value is. I have a job, I pay my bills, I'm kind to my children. Another one is I'm not responsible for fixing everyone's problem. This is setting emotional limits. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm not responsible for fixing everyone's problems. That is an emotional boundary. Knowing that. When us low self-esteem people, you'll see us carry bags, do stuff for people, dig holes, mow lawns, let them use our truck, everything. And sometimes it's kindness, but most of the time we're sucking air out of ourselves to put it into them because we don't want people to feel the pain that we know, but we can't express it. We can't get it out. We don't know how to fucking get ourselves out of that situation. So we got to realize that we're only responsible for our only emotional limits that are our own. It's our limits that we need to be concerned with, not others. And when we're being kind to ourselves, kindness does pour over. It does pour over where it's needed. It pulls totally over. And that's true. Also not responsible for other people's happiness or mood. I'm not responsible for anyone's emotions other than mine. And we don't have triggers. We have things that remind us of some emotional things that we need to fix. So that was two of them. I won't allow myself to be my own bully, replacing self-criticism. I'm not responsible for fixing everyone's problem, realizing where I need emotional boundaries in my life. So I'm not tired, the type of tired that sleep doesn't fix. It's a doom, resentment type of tired. And I can feel this emotion without letting it consume me. That is a really big one. I can feel guilty without letting it assume me because I'm allowing my feelings to exist, but I'm not going to allow my feelings to rule me. And that's where life is living you and you're not living life. Life is living you when you're allowing your emotions to take over. When you're allowing your limits in your head that you've told yourself mentally and repetitively that you can't do it, you're not good enough, people don't like you, you have to be kind. The only way you're ever going to be liked is to be a people pleaser and do everything everybody wants you to do. To be accepted into this office, you have to do A, B, C, D, E. No, you don't. You've already got the job. You're already there. I need to step away from this thought for now, and that's creating mental space. That's a thought that comes in where I might make an appointment with myself to clear that thought. I really like it when people put their emotions in here. We have a gentleman that has a lot of negative self-talk, and I feel like the 8.7 billion people, I'm just a stranger to this. And you're not. That's just how you feel. And let me tell you, one of the things we talk about in this life is your purpose in life. And your purpose in life is to enjoy it. It was given to you as a gift. It is to totally be happy. And knowing that deep down inside you's a genie. And when you pull weeds and you can cultivate happiness in your life by letting go of a lot of beliefs that come from your childhood, that come from your development stages, letting go of self-negative talk and starting to accept kindness. On Tuesday, we were talking about making appointments with ourselves during the day. Give ourselves 10 minutes in the morning. Give ourselves 10 minutes in the afternoon. Book this Friday with just yourself and have thought. And we're all strangers to this. Hi, Jahira. I hope that you're doing good. So now we have to go into a little bit of the time and the energy. We just had the self-talk, but time and energy, self-talk boundaries. What about that? What about that one? I've done enough for today and I'm stopping now, and that's prioritizing rest. I've done enough today. Another thing about us people pleasers is we don't rest. We always feel like we need to be doing something because if we feel like we're not doing something, we're afraid of our own thoughts. That's a great time to journal if anybody can relate to that. We're afraid of our own thoughts, we're afraid of stillness, and we're afraid to be alone. So we keep ourselves occupied constantly. Give it a break, give it a rest. Take a nap. I've done enough today, I'm stopping now. After 5 o'clock, stop. After 7 o'clock at night, don't check your emails. After 8 o'clock, who cares who texts? Put boundaries on your phone. all smartphones. You can silence every day starting at 8. Make it an hour earlier. Don't doom scroll. I'm giving this problem 20 minutes and then I'm moving on. And that's time boxing my worries. I have something that I need to figure out with a list. And it was a good one right now. I have a couple of last minute gifts that I want to get. And instead of carrying that into tomorrow, I can make a plan that this Saturday morning, I'm going to try to get up early, as half of the DMV will be, to go get a couple of last minute things, some stocking stuffers and stuff. That's time boxing. And our problems that belong to us, we take ownership of them. And we prioritize them before prioritizing other people's needs. And I'm allowed to rest without feeling guilty. Permission to recharge. That's another thing with people that have low self-esteem. You're 27. I wish somebody would have told me this when I was 27. I would have had a better life. But I did have a good life. I'm not going to complain. I'm allowed to rest without feeling guilty. Now, when your cell phone runs out of energy, we plug it into the wall. We actually go get energy, we plug it, we leave it plugged in. For us to get energy, it's the opposite. We have to unplug ourselves from our worries. We have to unplug ourselves from the task at hand, and we have to bring ourselves into the moment and breathe. Into the moment. Just bring ourselves into the moment and relax. Look at some things. Sit outside. Talk to yourself. Isn't this nice to just sit here for a minute? Put on some good music. And it can be any kind of music. It can be classical, rock and roll, country. Anything that has a beat, that makes you feel good, that takes you into the moment. And then tell yourself this. I'm not going to be ruled by my emotions, and I'm not going to be ruled by my feelings. Those are just simple thoughts. I'm going to put reason in front in the future. Build your future during your rest. I'm going to put reasoning in front of my reaction. I'm going to think before I react. And I'm going to start making stress-proof decisions in my life. Where I'm going to be, where I'm going to hang out, what I buy, what I'm going to do, what I think I need. Do I need to downsize? Do I need a couple of things? Is it time to replace some stuff? There's a lot of things that you can do when you unplug yourself from everything. Set that time of the day, time box a time of the day to where you unplug to recharge. You deserve rest. When you're deserving rest, you are giving yourself kindness. When you say no to somebody, you're saying yes to yourself. I think somebody in here last week said something kind of neat, and Norma and I have been using it since last Tuesday. Don't complain and don't over-explain, from Queen Elizabeth. I'm so glad to know that. I think that is really, really cool to know. So I don't have to say yes to everything, and that's protecting your schedule. Those are the 3 time and energy self-talk boundaries. I've done enough for today. I'm stopping now. That's prioritizing rest. I'm giving this problem 20 minutes, and then I'm going to move on. And that is allowing your feelings to not rule you. That's ruling your feelings. And you got to take a break from it. You've got to take a break and get your mind off of worrying. That time box, and give it time to write down your problems. If you write your problems down on a piece of paper and read them, they aren't as big on paper. Everything, we just make mountains in our head. Think of 5 of your problems and write them down. You're just really like, that ain't nothing. That's what I'm worried about. Your future's made by your thought. Your future's made by your talk. And when you're writing things down and concentrating on things, that is putting it into the future. That's what changes your mindset. It changes your habits. Journaling is so powerful. And I've been reached out to by some people that went to my 14-week journaling class that has made a difference in their life. And I'm glad, because you know what? It makes a difference in mine too. Being here this morning, getting ready for this, getting ready to talk to you. And I always like the Thursday class because I do watch the Tuesdays. Brian puts it on YouTube, I watch it. And it gives me more thought, and I'll type up, highlight some things on some talk. Wow, on a day-to-day basis, I feel like it's just another day in hell. I'm just trying to wipe off the coals. Wow. You know, you can start with one thing today that you're grateful for. Taking time for yourself and realize that's not where you belong. Here in this live, when we talk about gratitude. And our purpose in life here is to live a happy life and to figure it out. We're going to have to go through guilt. We're going to have to go through some mourning. But we're going to chisel and carve and forge into our minds a good, happy way to live. So we have the action-oriented self-talk boundaries. I'll start with one small step instead of getting overwhelmed. Managing perfectionism. That's finding one step that's manageable that you want to change about yourself. That's where you can start right there. You can journal about things you want to change. Here's a prompt. What 5 things do I want to change? And then pick the easy, smaller one. And then celebrate it. Then go to the next one. I will make and keep commitments to myself. When you keep and make commitments to yourself, you know what happens? Then you trust yourself. A commitment I make to myself is to spend time on myself. And I'm proud of that. And I trust me that I will do that. I trust me that I will watch this again today and listen to myself. I'm allowed to rest without feeling guilty. Permission to recharge. Those are your action-oriented. So when we were talking about the emotional, mental self-talk boundaries, our time and energy self-talk boundaries, and our action-oriented self-talk boundaries, well, how do we start them? How do we start with a boundary? Well, we start by using I statements. Focus on what you're in control of. I will disengage with this type of thinking. I will go to this place more because it gives me peace. I will read a book about self-help once a month. And if you can't afford a book, you can go into Barnes & Noble and read for free. I like doing that. I like doing that. And then be clear and concise. When you want to start your boundaries and you want to make changes, no lengthy justifications are needed internally or externally. You don't need to explain anything to anybody. Thank you so much. I appreciate you very much. Notice when you cross your own lines. What do I mean, notice when you cross your own lines? When you blame yourself for something? When you're doom scrolling? When you're sitting down because you don't know where to go, where to start? You're all over the place emotionally. You don't think life has started. You think everybody else is having a life and having a good time because you saw one picture and their life looks great. There's moments in your life that are great too, where somebody could have taken a picture to make it look like you live a good life. Focus inward, validate yourself, and put yourself on the pedestal you belong. Ignoring outside influence, but paying attention to self-worth and paying attention that you were gifted a life to live. And you were created out of love, not by some meaningless, casual coincidence. You are here because you were created by somebody that loves you. And you should give love back to you as well. You wouldn't be here if you were worthless. You wouldn't be here if you didn't belong here. You are here on a journey with a perception. But when you want to know what your goal in life is, to be happy and to have peace, to be good and kind and gentle with yourself, And the more you're helping other people and saving them and giving your air to others and leaking into energy, the more you're going to get tired that a rest will never, ever take care of. A sleep won't make that tiredness go away. That tiredness goes away by forging work in your life, by making boundaries, by doing what you need to do for yourself first. No is a full sentence. No is a full sentence. And start small. Practice with boundaries like, I'm not checking my email after 7. I'm not talking to this person anymore. And you don't need the people that call you, hey, you know what so-and-so said, blah, 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 blah. You don't need that shit in your life. What you want in your life is you want truth. And everybody's different. You know, we're only our real selves when we're by ourselves. That's a good time to hang out with yourself to realize who you are. Because the moment anybody walks in the room, you're putting on the mask for that relationship. Yeah, I'm happy. Of course I am. Everything's great. Fuck, that's the biggest lie I've told for 40 fucking years. I was goddamn miserable. I didn't look out the window because I was afraid I'd be asked for something. Who do I have to do something for now? I couldn't even go by certain places without, hey, can you do this? Can you fix that? Can you build me a shower? Can you do this and that? Being a construction guy's crazy. Be clear. Be concise. Purposely live your life for all your essentials. On purpose. Put effort into, I want to change this now. I'm fed up. I had enough. And your boundaries are going to change as you get older. As you get older, you know, I mean, I'm going to be 60 and, well, I'm 55, you know, fast as I freaking went from 50 to 55 like that. So I guess I will be 60 before I know it. You know, and I'll probably quit horseback riding. I don't go, but there's things that we change, that we enjoy. We find new things to indulge in for ourselves. And we have partners that we have boundaries with, that know us, that we can laugh at our mistakes. We can look back and like, that is so funny. Have you ever really made a big mistake and then laughed about it? Think about that. Think about it. Let's think about our week 3 on our boundaries. Just a quick overview. Week number 4 is going to be so cool because it's going to be all about reviewing week 1 through 3, and I'll be here Christmas morning because I know I'm up and early. So next Thursday, if you're here, you're here. If you're not, you're not. You can pick it up on YouTube because next week's our 4th and final week, and then Brian's going to put some stuff out on going into next year. We have a really long journaling series that we're starting. But anyway, let's get back to right here, week 3. We're going to think, starting today, stress-proof decisions. The decisions that you're making are making your life. That is what's making your life. Consider your finances, your time, your work, your media, your meals. That's important. What are you eating? That's something new for me. What am I eating? What's my health going to be? I got to quit smoking. I have to start eating healthier and walk a little bit more. Thoughts and words are weapons. They're also a catalyst. These weapons could be used for kindness. These weapons can be used to forge a new future. Your future starts today. Use with care and consideration these weapons and words. And use with care and consideration when it comes to yourself. You are responsible for how you feel about yourself, nobody else. If they don't like you, so what? If somebody doesn't like bananas, bananas will still grow on trees. Are these mine? Can I afford this? And when I say can I afford this, what I'm talking about, can I afford this emotionally? Can I emotionally afford to keep not putting boundaries? Can I emotionally afford to beat myself up? Can I emotionally afford to be my biggest bully? Can I emotionally afford to not live my life on purpose? Can I emotionally afford not to think about what my daily mental essentials are? Is it prayer? Is it journaling? Is it being grateful? What is it that you're missing to get to live in the moment? How can I live without thinking about yesterday and looking in the future? It's called being mindful, being present. When you're thinking about what bothers you, you're doing nothing but taking away from the enjoyment of that moment. Remember, I was talking about the little piece my wife sent me. On Monday, we're waiting for Friday. In the winter, we're waiting for summer. In the summer, we're waiting for winter. Why not just enjoy now? Enjoy today. And when you get something nice, enjoy it. Take care of it. Even if it's just a $4 cup of coffee, you have to wait a half an hour for it in Starbucks. Take a half an hour to drink it because you might as well enjoy it. Right? Do I belong here? Does this situation align with my priorities? And this is it. You know, if you want to make changes, does habitual self-abuse help you live better? You don't fix things by beating yourself up. You fix things by caring for yourself and being kind for yourself. And instead of being a people pleaser, be a me pleaser. That'll change everything in your head. Do that for 10 days. I guarantee anyone that wants to try it, just try it. I dare you. And then let me know how it went. Because the most complex emotional decisions you're ever going to make in your life are going to be the changes that you make you're going to have guilt, you're going to have grief. It's going to come with some consequences. But you want to know something? When you're feeling guilt, when you're feeling grief, when you've done something or made a decision that even just makes you shake, that is growth. A young tree isn't going to die because of a thunderstorm, but it lives through it. Sometimes it gets struck by lightning. That's life. But that tree will continue to grow. Reaching for the sun, that's what it does. It gets taller because it wants to be closer to its source of love. And your source of love is inside you. And you have to draw yourself toward your source of love, your essentials. It's imperative you realize that all of your love is going to come from your boundaries. All your love and everything in your mind and your day to day is going to come from your boundaries. And you can just yell it. I'm going to take control now. I'm going to prioritize my mental health, how I feel. I'm going to prioritize my time. I'm going to make time for myself. I'm going to be a me pleaser. Are you abandoning yourself? And that's a good question. I have abandoned myself a lot of times, and sometimes we fall loose of that. We feel good, we'll write it, but then we fall back into our mental, repetitive feeling about ourselves. That stops now because we're going to make appointments during the day to remind ourselves that we're worthy to live, we're worthy of the love, we're worthy of the time. We can do what anybody else does. Those pictures and things that you see, social media, people having great lives, that is a snapshot of one moment. Their lives, you don't know them, so don't compare it. There's only one you. Make yourself somebody that other people would like to be. Make a model of yourself, of self-love that people appreciate and will want to be your friend without asking you for favors and draining you of your energy. Don't give away your energy. Don't give away your thoughts. Don't give away your dreams. Those are yours. Those are your plans. Trust yourself. When you don't let yourself down and you build self-trust and you stop bullying yourself and you know that you want something, forge it in your future. You start it today. Forge it. If you never want to do something again, you never want to think that way again, then just stop thinking it. But it's going to come back every once in a while because that's the universe seeing if you're ready. It is. I'm telling you that. It's just going to mess with you. And then when it knows you're ready, boom, you wake up one day feeling like this. Man, I feel good. I think I'll go for a walk. I feel good. I'm not beating myself up. I think I'm going to go get myself a new shirt so I can look the way I feel. And it's not about impressing anybody. It's about impressing you and how you feel about yourself. Internally, you have a almost like a wardrobe you can wear internally, okay? And it's in your closet. We take out different ways we feel, different emotions. I'm gonna go through this. And we're gonna have hiccups in life. We gotta navigate through storms. We gotta navigate through mud, muck. We gotta navigate through fog, right? And our life is a lot like that. We're the captain of our ship. But we want to be on course with what aligns with ourselves. We want to be on course with the mental and physical food that we need, and that is our source of energy, which comes from within us. It comes from our Creator, and our source of energy of where we need to be and where we want to be is going to take work, practice, sacrifice, and it's going to cause guilt. It's going to cause pain. But when you're precise and clear, I need to do this for me. You ever think about telling that somebody, for me? I can't have you talking like that anymore. I can't have you doing this anymore. Hey, I'm not going to be available to work Saturdays anymore. And don't compare, just don't explain. Start laying down your rules, your policies. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Be the person that you want to be. Have no fear. And when you're kind to yourself and you're cultivating a new place in yourself, deep down, man, in the core, just in the core, there is a magic genie there. And when you polish him up and you're good to him, he comes out. What do you want? How do you want to feel? And I'm not talking about materialistic things. I'm talking about a real fucking genie that comes out who's going to make you happy. He's going to be very happy. And people are doing great things with that realization in life. Some just quit their job and go travel. I've met some of them. Went and got a bus. Started living off their 401k. They've been to the mountains. I talked to one guy, he goes to the mountains, he goes to the East Coast, he goes to Canada, he's going everywhere. All because he didn't think he deserved to travel, didn't think he deserved to spend money on himself. Can you believe that? Feeling like we don't deserve it? Who the hell told us that when we were little? Our parents, our older brother and aunt and uncle, a stupid principal or teacher, or somebody that doesn't know that when you talk to kids, you're actually developing them. There's people around who teach kids that don't belong teaching. And I ain't gonna go there. I'm not gonna beat people up. But just realize that shit happened to us. And it's our time. It is our time. Thank you so much, Batty Lady. I appreciate you being here. And everybody, you all know, I appreciate you all being here. And I'm here for you. And I can't wait until next Tuesday. Give yourself a little bit of homework. Here's a good journaling prompt to have today. What 3 things can I change, starting with the small first, to help me feel more comfortable in myself? But before you do that, it doesn't matter what anybody says about you. It doesn't. Just before you do that, it's about what you want. Not what somebody said you need to change. What do you feel would make you better? Thank you, Farm Girl, for being here. Happy last weekend before the holidays. If anybody's gotten crazy, I cheated a little bit, did a lot of stuff on Amazon. We've been busy at work. Brian, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see everybody. Week 4. Week 4 is our last week's next week. I will be here Tuesday and Thursday. I appreciate all you. Happy Thursday. Make it a good day. Do something that you've always wanted to do for yourself. Whatever it is. And try to start your year off. You ever notice things go the way they start? Life does, until you figure out one day that, hey, this isn't right. So bring yourself to your adult mind. You're in charge of your feelings. You're in charge of your emotions. Nobody else. Don't listen. Sit still and listen in here. I love all of you. Have a great day. Thanks for being here. Have a great weekend too.